Hey, it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kino Kingdom 125. I'm Britt, and as always, I'm joined with two handsome chaps, Lazlo and Rupert. And just a bit of a PSA at the start, really. I was on a train the other day, and I was with my young son, and there was someone in front of me, and he pulled out his phone. And I don't think he'd ever seen a phone before, wasn't sure of how they worked, and he put it on loudspeaker, and he proceeded to have like a really sort of colorful language, joke laden, lengthy conversation with his friend that everyone on the train could hear, so we could all join in. And I've decided to refer to that sort of behavior as cunt casting, because I was watching him and I thought, you must know what's happening. You must know what everyone is feeling. Because, if you ever like walking in the woods and you feel like someone's watching me, somebody's watching me, and you think, oh, I just feel really uneasy. If I was sat next to someone I knew and they pulled out their phone and had to have and they were just like swearing and having like a loudspeaker conversation with someone in a public place, I'd say, can you not do that? Can you use a phone as God intended and have it so I can only hear half of this tedium? It was unbelievable, and I didn't realize it must be a generational thing, because I've never seen anyone like over 30 doing it, I would say.
I think it's like people got paranoid about frying their brains. They've heard too many tales, so they prefer to hold it away from their ear.
Really? Is that why they do that?
But I would also say that the people having the conversations, the state of the people they're talking to, what they talk about and how they look, I would say that someone with like a national average IQ has not, or above, has not ever done it. So I don't think they're worried about frying their brain. I think from what they sound like, their brains are gone. I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Oh my God.
They're worried about frying their brain with their phone as they smoke and drink themselves to an early grave. Yeah, it's good.
Perhaps they were initially intelligent and then they held the phone to their ears for years, and now the brain's fried. So they've now just hold it lax in their hand in front of them and forgotten how it works.
It's unbelievable.
We could be onto something here.
When my wife was in hospital, and we were waiting to have the cesarean, and obviously that meant you saw it on a shared ward, and there was a woman in the bed across who was having a loudspeaker conversation with presumably her partner or something. But it was the manner of the conversation was hilarious, because she called him up and she was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have the baby in about an hour, okay? And the guy was like, all right, love, all right. And then he genuinely asked her what she wanted for tea later.
Wow.
and then that was it. That was the end of the conversation. It's like, okay.
There's so many children that it's just an interesting event to them now.
Yeah, it was just sort of
like, what do you think the baby's going to want?
Yeah, probably milk, I'd imagine. But to be fair, it was during COVID, so but I mean, I was allowed there, so technically he probably would have been allowed there too. But it's just brilliant. It was just such a nonchalant way. It was like, oh yeah, okay.
If he said,
what do you want for tea, love?
What are we going to call this one? And she went, I don't know, just call it the first thing you could see. And then you hear him say, Mr. Brains Pork Faggots. And she's like, no, maybe something else. Yeah. My hand? No, another thing, love.
My shoes? No, definitely won't have the word my in front of it, okay?
Our wedding photo? No, look out the window and maybe in the singular. Present tense, love.
How about we call, I know, the middle distance.
That thing the thing I stare at when we're in bed together. This is, so there's Tom, Alex, middle distance. guess where I lost my interest in my children. So yeah, if you ever do that, don't listen to this podcast, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And if you can think of a single reason other than like the fact that they've just been struck by lightning dozens and dozens of times, if you can think of any other reason that would make any sense and will be valid, please email us at kinokingdom@protonmail.com.
Fear of brain cancer is not a good excuse.
Yeah, we won't accept that. I also, it's actually, I could tie this in later on, but I was, I wouldn't say bored. I was intrigued by something the other day, and I was using Copilot, and I typed in, like, what is Kino Kingdom, and it was just giving us some facts, which was kind of interesting. And then I sort of asked for a glossary of what Kino Kingdom is, like an A to Z of Kino Kingdom. So if you've got this, shouldn't take too long. But I'd love to know where all this got extracted from. So have you got a few minutes for this, guys? Are you ready for me to go down this glossary?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This glossary, this A to Z of Kino Kingdom, and this is I've done no fiddling with this. It is literally just what Copilot spewed out to me. And I swear to God, I know I say this, but this is genuine. Okay, so A is for Arkansas, the weekly actor linking challenge. Sometimes turbo, mega, ultra, uber Arkansas. Sometimes tongue twisting, always chaotic. Examples include Roy Scheider to Marissa Tomei, Dennis Quaid to Daniel Craig, Johnny Depp to Jason Momoa, and The Bonds. B is for Britt, one of the three hosts. He often dives into franchises. Scream. No, that's what Rupert does. I did that once with Scream. And this is if this was a dictionary entry on me, right? Britt Roberts misidentifies Kenny Everett as Robert Englund frequently.
But it really knows his stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, once I think you'll find when I was watching Murder House, whatever it's called, and brings a mix of cinephile enthusiasm and Welsh deadpan. I've never been described as deadpan.
No.
C is the cameo cost corner, a recurring gag segment in the show's lore referenced across platform descriptions where the hosts riff on celebrity cameo pricing. We should bring that back, actually.
Yeah.
It's episode, and then it says Chuck Norris as a bonus C, and it says episode 118 opens with the loss of Chuck Norris, leading into lengthy discussions of Brian Bosworth, Godfrey Ho, and Superman. Specifically linked to Chuck Norris, those things, are they? D is Desert Island Laserdiscs, which was our 100th episode special. Quizzes, personal picks, luxury items, and a celebration of the show's history. The main thing I remember from that episode was just the thought of Lazlo waving on a boat that's there to rescue him, just so we can continue masturbating on an island. Like, don't leave me alone. I'm fine. This is a niche one. Can you guess what E would be in our glossary? Eric Roberts? No.
England, Robert England.
England.
No, you're nearly there. Electricity bill.
Oh, okay. That's a contemporary one.
Yes. F is for franchises. It says here we frequently tackle long-running series. Scream, yeah. Superman? I don't know if anyone's done that. Silent Hill?
I don't think we went through the
much of a
franchise. We might
franchise.
discuss
two
it's
films.
not very good.
Transformers? That's something we've definitely not done.
No. Never
Bond
seen one of them.
marathons in the plural. Like, we constantly watch all the Bond films. G is Godfrey Ho.
Well, yeah.
Appears in 118's discussion of wild genre cinema. H is for Halloween episodes, an annual tradition. Horror-centric chaos, except when Rupert derails it by watching kids' films instead of gore classics like Revenge of the Spine-Eating Lung Rippers. That can't be a film.
That isn't a film. It's an idea.
And this is a little bit tenuous, introduced by Tia Carrere.
Oh, yeah.
A running absurdity. It's not, it's just a fact. Platform listings note the show was introduced by Tia Carrere, adding to its playful mythos. J is Johnny. It's reaching now. Johnny Depp to Jason Momoa, right? K is for kids films. Rupert's notorious detour in the Halloween episode, watching children's movies, in quotes, like a stupid girl instead of horror. I wonder which one of us said that, Lazlo.
Jesus, just drop it, co-pilot. Christ.
Yeah.
Hell, the fact that people would see these, like, these are the benchmarks of a. L is for Lazlo, the trailer expert and DVD cover washer. Is that something you're really known for?
How does it know that I don't think I've ever told anyone?
Have you ever washed a DVD cover?
Washed a DVD cover? You know what? Like, I probably have. Like, you used to get like the stickers with the price on them, and you peel it off, and it leaves a horrible residue on there. So you might get a little warm water and a cloth, and But no, literally never talked about that in my life.
You don't wash it, but you have now, so
until
prophesized.
Now. And the man with
predicting the future.
Oh my god!
AI.
And the man with the ever-growing watch list. This is niche. M is for mining helmets. The trio chip away at the rock of life.
Wow.
Searching for cinematic nuggets.
Wow.
It's searched for a metaphor there.
Those words.
N is for neo-noir 90s gold.
Yes.
90s neo-noir gems and 80s oddities. P is for paranorman.
Good.
Q is for quizzes. Yeah, that's fair enough. R is for Rupert, of course, the host who derails Halloween. You're really known for that.
Jesus, it really won't let that lie, will it?
Brings screeners and gets challenged relentlessly in quizzes. I wouldn't say it's I don't jump out of a bush at you in the street and just start asking, how old Michael Rooker is, do I? It's not. S is for Samurai Cop. That was a film. That was
something which happened on the screen, wasn't it?
Oh, God. S is for Silent Hill. And Super Charlie. What the hell's Super Charlie?
No
it just says mentioned as available in cinemas now. Is that a thing?
Is that a new
review,
cocaine?
I did review Charlie the chef thing, whatever that was. He's not called Super Charlie.
T is for.
You know what? I might have reviewed it in the same. Was it the same episode where I did the Superman documentary? I don't know. It's like it's merged those two, maybe.
You did.
No one's ever merged a chef called Charlie and Superman before.
Michael Rooker is 71, by the way.
Wow, he's older than I thought. T, and do you know what? This is someone I contacted and had one of my favorite moments in the early podcast days. It's a genuine favorite memory of mine. Can you remember, Rupert? I would say, this is pre-Lazlo, I would say it was in the first 20 episodes. A really, really lovely man who came on the show and offered us tickets to go to his show up north and gave you a birthday message. Can you remember his name?
Is it Tony something?
Tony House?
Yes, it's Tony House. Oral contracts, not worth the paper they're printed on. What a man. Such a lovely man. So the show is repeatedly described as Tony Howe's favorite movie podcast. So we love you, Tony. T is also for trailers. Episode 109, Lazlo leads a deep dive into trailer styles through the ages, dedicated to Don LaFontaine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, right. Yes, he was the
original
voice, wasn't he?
Voiceover guy, yeah.
V is for Val Kilmer, the much missed Val Kilmer, and VHS Sax. In episode 103, the trio ride over a mountain carrying sacks of movies in VHS format to throw at the townsfolk.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing
I
we do.
wish.
The thing is, you'd eventually run out of them, and it wouldn't hurt them enough to knock them out. So you would just get overwhelmed. Then an entire town of people running at you, and you're throwing copies of Creepshow 2 at them. W. I'll let you guess this one. So, what would you say that W would stand for in our A to Z?
Walkenstar. No idea.
So you're not going to get. Whoops! I've eaten you.
That was going to be my next guess.
That was one of the fake horror titles referenced in the Halloween episode. X is X-rated tangents. What would the cover of Whoops, I've Eaten You look like? It would have to be a knockabout comedy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have to be someone like cheeky chappy shrugging or something like that.
It'd be a shrug. Someone getting their tie pulled.
It's the person who's being eaten. They'd have to be on the cover as well, wouldn't they? Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to talk to them. So,
Yeah, it would be quite
maybe
literal, wouldn't it?
they're there like at the table with a knife and fork, and they're tucking into what looks like a roast dinner, but then it's like instead of it being a ham, it's actually a leg or something, and somebody's just. But I don't know.
So he's got a knife and fork in his hand, and he's shrugging at a table,
Yeah,
looking at the camera like, "Whoops, I'm a cheeky chappy."
X-rated tangents, the show's signature, wild digressions from serious analysis to absurdity.
So they're X-rated, are they?
No, we don't talk about fannies that much, do we?
No.
They're more off here than on here. Way. Saying that though, we decided this morning that the next Recluse album is the cover's gonna be a man putting a pound coin into like a fruit machine, but the coin slot's gonna look like a vagina, and we're gonna call the album Slut Machine. Why is yelling about Bond? And then in brackets it says Lazlo's religious gasp. So I have no idea what that refers to. You often do like a religious gasp when you're washing your DVD covers?
What is a religious
I can't even figure out what that... Yeah. Is it like a gasp, but it's like a
gasp of revelation? Oh, maybe.
I was thinking about if you saw a miracle, it would be like a like the breath of your entire like existence changing as your brain alters to like, oh, well, there is more. And maybe that's the kind of sound you'd make upon religious. What's the term? Awakening. And Z for zany law, the meta universe, scented candles, such as inside Leatherface's mask. And then it says again, DVD cover washing, mining helmets, and recurrent self-mythologizing. It's amazing.
We've certainly been doing a bit of self-mythologizing.
Yeah, we have. Do you know? I didn't realize there's another A to Z I must have got from another AI, but we'll stop there. But that's not entirely accurate. Some of the things it said there. And before we go into the reviews, I had something cropped up, and I purposely haven't mentioned this to you because I was down at my friend Mal's house for the weekend, and we had a really good time, which I'll talk about when I do my review later. But he's in his mid-60s, and he was telling me about like when he was in the sort of 70s and early 80s, like before VHS was at home, and he was talking about 8mm Super 8 versions of films that were 20 minutes long. I've never heard of this, and I'm assuming Lazlo may have.
Sorry? 20-minute like edits of films?
Yeah. Have you either of you heard of this? And he showed me a few examples. Have you either of you heard of this? No. It was available for sort of cinephiles. You could buy these 8mm home prints.
Oh my god!
And they were one of the films he showed me. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was a sort of late 60s horror film, and it's originally like an hour and 15 long, and it's edited down to 20 minutes. So he said they cut out anything extraneous, and they only show key scenes, and the scenes are linked together as they fade in and out by a narration.
Oh my god!
And I thought this was incredible. But this was like what they did before VHS. And I'm glad neither of you have heard of it, because I might look into it further, because imagine how much you get done. Imagine watching, right, like Transformers, poof, 20 minutes, get through it. Or what's the one you like, Rupert, with Willem Dafoe, the Jesus one?
Last Temptation of Christ.
Or someone waves a curly whirly in front of him as he's on the cross. He's imagine that 20 minutes, boom, get it done, and then you've got time to watch it again if you want, before bed.
I guess it's like an extended trailer in a way.
That is literally how I've described it in my note here on the screen. Like they're effectively 20-minute long, but they show the whole. I mean, some trailers that we've discussed in episode 109 are very much like that. But it's just does the whole thing in 20 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. And I guess that's how long an 8mm reel is.
Must be.
Yeah,
that's astonishing.
Can you get these on YouTube and stuff? Whatever they.
He has downloaded them completely legally, so I'm assuming that they must be on YouTube, and to get. But it's you can view them 8mm cuts of films from the 70s.
That's
I
great.
need to see. I need to
No.
see
There's
that.
a lot of films I wish were over in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Computer chess not being one of them. I also because he was saying that when I remember when TV films were sort of shown in the cinema, and there would be like a 2-year gap before the 2 to 3 year gap when they were on TV. But apparently in the 70s and 80s, there was a 5 to 10 year gap. So he said that he watched The Towering Inferno 3 times in one day. And I said, Christ, you must have loved that. And he said, it's just because I knew I wouldn't get to watch it for like 5 years at least.
It's astonishing, man.
So what it puts into context, doesn't it? When people say in the 70s and 80s, oh, I watched that like 4 times in one day, because they must have been trying to cram it into their minds because they know they're not going to ever get a chance to see it for like half a decade when at school. Then.
Wow.
You know, when people say, like, you know, the good old days, we don't know how lucky we had it. It was quite shit in many ways as well, wasn't it?
Do you know, when people talk about the good old days, the first thing in my mind clicks to is when you'd arrange to meet up with a group of friends on a Saturday in a park, and you'd go there and they'd either have already met up or be really late, and you had no way of knowing, and you had to hang around for ages. And I hated it. I hate wasting my time. And that alone is enough to make me hate all of history up until 1997 when I had a Nokia.
Well, it is true as well that, like, anyone who like harks back to the good old days is just someone who wasn't a victim of the old days prejudices as well. Because for most people in the world, it's fucking terrible for most of history. It still is. So, but yeah, so nostalgia is bullshit.
Nostalgia, schmostalgia, more like it sounds like in the Harvey household. Yeah, it's amazing that people say, there are some people who say like school was the best years of your life, and you think,
Jesus.
was that just before you had any responsibility? Was that just, do you just not like having to like do things? Because I'm quite sort of, I don't really care about school. It's like I could take it or leave it. But then some people, they say, oh no, school wasn't the best years of my life. I just got the shit kicked out of me for years on end. And you think, yeah, that would be a bit of a black mark on your memory of the time, wouldn't it? Being beaten up from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. 3 p.m, 3 in the afternoon. So yeah, it's I've forgotten how we've got on this topic.
Who cares about? Let's not talk about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
talk about childhood trauma instead.
Let's just talk about how bad the past was. Let's see if we can improve the glossary. KK125 improving the glossary.
There we go.
Pop that note down. But yes, so I just wanted the 8mm thing. I thought was really interesting. And again, if anyone remembers this, any sort of elder statesmen in our listenership, kinokingdom@protonmail.com if you want to send an email through. And with that, I will. I'm assuming Lazlo's got the most movies to talk through, so
I would imagine so.
I'm not even going to bother counting them. I think it's probably true. Yes, because we got through my whole archive in the last one, so I've gone into overdrive. But to the degree that I watched films without writing anything down because I was in a hurry to get through them, which was stupid. So I'm going to 2-second trash Hurricane Heist because I realized halfway through that I'd seen it before, and it was that forgettable and naff that I did finish it off, but it's not very good. That's Hurricane Heist. Now I will
actual
talk
hurricanes.
That could have been the briefest review we've ever had.
It's more just informing us that it had been watched, isn't it? Really,
it involves, like, I mean, in fairness, it's edging on like so stupid that it is enjoyable, where they managed to plan a major robbery of like a money sort of center, whatever, like where they ship in all the money in big crates and they burn them, the old notes or whatever. Really? It's one of those places, but they coincide it with a massive like hurricane that's like destroying buildings level hurricane. So they use that as cover to rob the thing. I mean, I don't know how long they waited for this world-ending hurricane, like before thinking, right, this is the one. Let's do it. Let's do it now.
It's very specific, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, it's so stupid that it barely warrants a mention. in the history of film. What I will talk about instead is Marty Supreme, which is actually good. Although I know one of our friends recently watched it and I don't think he was a fan. So this is directed by Josh Safdie of the Safdie brothers. And it's kind of a sports crime thriller inspired by a real life 1950s pro tennis, table tennis player, who was also something of a hustler. And I think he wrote a book about it, which this is based on, although I think they've taken some major liberties with this. But this stars Timothée Chalamet as Marty, the main character, who is kind of a relentlessly self-promoting wheeler-dealer guy who aspires to be the world's best table tennis player, and might just have the skills to back up his extraordinarily high opinion of himself. Will he succeed? Will he not? The main problem that he faces in this story is a lack of money. So he's completely broke and he needs cash in order to travel and participate in these events. So he then, and he's also got his neighbor who's also his girlfriend, childhood girlfriend, pregnant. So there's another financial disaster on the horizon. So he basically has to borrow, steal, hustle money out of everyone he meets, including relatives, gangsters, business people, and all sorts, to try and achieve his goals. And almost every single instance of these things then come back to bite him at one point or another. So it's very much like the films that the Safdie brothers did before, like Good Time or Uncut Gems, where it's really relentlessly paced and he's constantly blustering from one location and one incident to the next. But this, I would say, feels like an evolution of the sort of scale and cinematic quality from those. This feels like a next level up, where it's kind of got a Scorsese-ish kind of control to the mania. So it's really good. And but he is not a likable person, and I can see how this could piss people off, because you're spending a couple of hours watching a pretty insufferable prick battling against other unpleasant people. But I think I found that because he's genuinely kind of got the talent, and he clearly, and the film knows this, he's got a lot to learn as a human being. You kind of end up rooting for him to succeed and to accomplish his goals, or even like fail trying and be humbled. He's got a good arc that where you can see this guy he's got to go on a journey before he learns how to kind of grow up and maybe find some redemption. So it reminded me of Whiplash, although I think I like Whiplash a little bit more. It's a bit more efficient than this.
It feels like, sorry, just to interject in that particular arc, it feels like the kind of film Tom Cruise would have made. It's kind of the Tom Cruise arc, isn't it? Like where it's
Colour
real
of Money.
cocky. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Colour of Money. Yeah.
It's definitely got that sort of vibe to it, but it has an even more kind of globe-trotty, relentless kind of pace to it than even that film had. But it's now I think about it, it's very much along those lines, but with table tennis instead of pool. But yeah, it's quite exhausting to watch, and it's not going to be for everyone, but I think it was really well made, and I genuinely was completely absorbed in it. And there's so many bits, just like curveballs that, like, I mean, just for an instance example, there's a bit like where he checks into this shitty hotel, and he's there for some complete other purpose, but he's in the bath talking to his mate, and the bath just falls, because the hotel's so shit, it falls through the floor and lands in the bathroom on the floor below and crushes this guy's arm who's like washing his dog in the bath. And then because he's injured that guy, he then the guy can't like look after his dog, so he then offers to look after the guy's dog for money, and he kind of turns it on its head to be a positive. But then he loses the dog, and it turns out the guy is a gangster, so he then comes after him. So then he goes on this crazy spree to try and find where the dog is after it ran off and left him. And it's just like, how did this all happen? It's one thing tumbles into another thing, and it's just sort of you're just waiting for it all to catch up with him. But yeah, so he's really good. It's like a real kind of scenery chewing performance from him. And the film is really well crafted around, and it's genuinely got some exciting table tennis scenes, if that's your thing. So, I really enjoyed it.
Good. It did quite well as well, didn't it? This is A24, I think, but it was a bit higher budget than the previous films.
Yeah, I want to say was this their most successful film? I think
probably their highest grossing. I mean, probably not necessarily the most profitable, because they probably made ridiculous amounts of money off $5 million movies before. But I'm glad it did well, because it means they threw a bit of money at something. Yeah. It's the mid-budget movie. We want more of them.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't have to be set in the 50s, but that gives it like an extra kind of cool thing. And I mean, obviously it's based on a real guy, but I think they've taken some liberties with this story. I imagine they have, but it's on Prime as well, so didn't have to fork out any extra for this. It was really good.
Timothy Chalamet, am I saying his name right? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about him. I haven't actually seen him in a film, as far as I'm aware. What kind of actor is he like?
You know what's Dune?
No.
Okay.
Never even played the Amiga game, mate.
Yeah. He's kind of like a shapeshiftery kind of guy. Like he's
quite versatile. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a good-looking guy, but he played like in this. He does. He's got like a monobrow and this sort of really horrible wispy moustache, and they've like made him look like he's got sort of bad skin and little scars, which is the kind of nice touch. You just think, right, he's had a whole life of this sort of dodging fists at every turn.
Are you looking at a picture of me when I was 14?
Britty Supreme. Yeah, so he's really good, and then he did like Willy Wonka, which is like a just a goofy, child-friendly, over-the-top, likable kind of performance. And then Dune, he goes from like a sort of a naive kid to like a psychopath. He's very good, but apparently a bit of a knobhead IRL. But he's a Hollywood actor, so
in real life, for the listeners,
for the people over 20 years old.
Which we aren't, of course.
Excellent.
What's next? That's it then. So I'll see you join us next week for another podcast. I know, you're gonna lean over. I think you found a quid on the floor, but oops, it's a Weezer live cassette, unfortunately.
That would be disappointing, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
I might start off with The Housemaid then. I can't remember if I've talked about this one either. Don't think I have.
Hang on.
This is the Sydney Sweeney thing.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think we've talked about this. This is quite new.
I think I talked about it with you at the fairground, Britt, the other day.
Ah, yes, when we were at the fair, laughing and dancing on that, and you didn't go on that ride because you were too scared.
But then I did go on it later.
Yeah, when I wasn't there, so there's no proof of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that thing I was too scared of. I did do it. You just didn't see, mate? Oh, right. Okay.
In fairness, he said he was absolutely terrified, and
I did.
It did come off quite shaky. It wasn't like a bragging story.
No, it definitely was not a bragging story.
Were you
260 feet tall?
Were you? Oh, see, 265. You told me in the message, mate. Oh, yeah, it goes.
It's 265.
When you got
up at the top.
It's just stretched and craned his neck. When you got off, were you so? When someone came up, you said, "Are you okay?" Were you so shaken that you did that thing where you said, "Hang so"?
My legs were genuinely wobbly afterwards, mostly because you're strapped in so tight. All the blood just drains from them, basically. But yeah, I won't be doing that again. Okay, The Housemaid then, on Prime. This is from last year, directed by Paul Feig, who continues his campaign to fill the cinema with fun, trashy female empowerment fantasies. I'll just do the Wikipedia plot, I think, is easiest. A young woman with a troubled past becomes the live-in maid for a wealthy family whose household hides dark secrets, which I'll probably end up giving away anyway, so it won't be a secret anymore. So this is to say, Sydney Sweeney plays an ex-con who apparently went to jail for 10 years, and she bags a caretaking
12.
Yeah. She gets this caretaking job, and the wife, played by, is it Amanda Seyfried? Suddenly doubt whether that's her name. Definitely Seyfried, yes, Amanda Seyfried. Yeah, the wife, she is instantly bonkers, smashing stuff up, gaslighting Sydney Sweeney, threatening her, literally trying to fire her. But Sydney Sweeney stays on because she really needs the job, I suppose. I mean, she seemed indifferent to whether she got the job beforehand, so it's not really clear why she sticks with it so vehemently. But then we start learning about the real situation in the household, which is, of course, immensely predictable. And yeah, this is a completely preposterous film, which essentially dresses up domestic violence in a clown suit, really. Amanda Seyfried is just consuming the scenery everywhere. But I'm wondering about Sydney Sweeney. Is she a good actress? Because I feel like this part in particular needs someone with the kind of subtlety to present one way and kind of internalize something else. See what I mean? And I just wasn't convinced.
I
by
feel like
Sydney
she's like a Marilyn Monroe type person, isn't she? Like she's got like sex appeal for days, and
yes.
and knows how to play like a social media life audience kind of thing.
Right.
But so I don't think being enormously skilled as an actress is particularly a necessity for her at this point in her career anyway.
No, that's true.
Although I haven't seen Christie. Apparently that's like the one where she like sort of uglifies herself in quote marks and does boxing, and
that's the boxing one, isn't it? Yeah.
Is trying to do an acting thing. So maybe she's good in that. I don't know.
I'll check it out at some
it's on
point.
Prime, actually.
Good. Okay, so halfway through this film, there's a twist, which isn't really a twist because you can see it from outer space. I mean, it's the point at which the film tries to do like a Gone Girl and shift on a dime. But in practice, what we actually get is all the patient build-up and tension in this household is replaced by half an hour of just solid narration to hasten the plot along, followed by a schlocky final sequence. A sequence, I'll add, which is, again, without tension, because by that point, the film has switched to full female empowerment mode, so it just kind of turns into torture, soft porn, really. And yes, so it's not really a film about nuance. It doesn't dare go anywhere near the psychology of abusive relationships. It's just basic jailer versus captive schlock. And I suppose that's fine. But then even something like It Ends With Us provides a bit more subtlety with regard to gaslighting and abuse. This has the aesthetic of something like Gone Girl or Girl on a Train, but it's actually much closer in tone to A Simple Favor, which of course Feig also directed. But
which
also
was
it's nice.
Massively overrated.
Yeah. Do you ever see the second one?
No, because I thought the first one was shite. So yeah,
it really wasn't very good.
I remember watching it with Faye. I'll have to read up the synopsis of it, but I remember watching it and not being sick. So when you were talking then, I was actually looking at the sequel thinking, I might mention that to Faye.
It's a page turner, which is pretty much what this is as well. Any mid-budget character-driven movie that makes into cinema and does as well as this did, The Housemaid did, because it made like 400 million off a 35 million budget. So it's pretty impressive. But as a film, it's both by the numbers and ill thought out and doesn't have any real tension or any real edge. So you might as well just watch, Gone Girl or Girl on a Train or It Ends With Us, really. But it's definitely in that subgenre.
I was half tempted by this because it's on Prime. But yeah, maybe not. Did you watch this with the missus?
No, she'd already seen it at cinema and she said it was really mediocre as well.
Oh, okay. Because I
see it, honey. It's really mediocre.
I would have assumed that the majority of this is like a female skewing demographic type film.
I would think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure a couple of colleagues at work raved about this at the cinema, but
right,
they're not as discerning as us, clearly.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like Paul Feig. I'm sure he's a smart guy and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't know. He's not like, he doesn't feel like a real film craftsman, you know? I feel like he's just a bit of a hack when it comes to this sort of thing. I mean, he did some amusing comedies, I guess, but this
Spy
stuff
was okay.
Yeah.
My memory.
Bridesmaids was all right when it, first time around.
Okay. I feel like he reminds me of Joss Whedon or something, like a sort of faux feminist.
Careful now.
And you're going to find out sooner or later that he's a wrong un in one way or another, probably.
Probably. Well, I suppose he's going to keep making movies if he can make like 1,000% on the budget. So.
Yeah. Or he could make another Ghostbusters and tank his career.
I can't see him going into that again.
He can make a Spy 2 that eschews all of the original cast apart from Jason Statham, and I'd watch it. I don't know if that would help his career at all.
Yeah, I'm not
they
sure
should keep
that would.
Peter Serafinowicz in it and ditch everyone else. I would watch that.
I could let him be in the film with Jason Statham. The only things I remember laughing at that film was just whenever Jason Statham came, I just closed my eyes and let it happen because I thought I know he's going to just be amazing. Unfortunately, in the years since, Jason Statham's films have been lackluster.
His new one, Shelter, is out on Prime now. That's my play button is twitching over that.
It will always twitch for Jason Statham film, even if it's not good.
Even if it's Meg too.
This, I still watch that. The thing is, that was Ben Wheatley as well, wasn't it? I remember you saying, "Oh yeah, it's gonna have his character all over after watching like Sightseers and stuff," and then you just said it had none of his fingerprints all over it. Yeah, and that's what's upsetting about that.
No personality whatsoever.
I'm going to talk about a Ben Wheatley film today.
Oh really?
Was it A Field in England?
Please tell us A Field in England.
No.
But anyway, it's not my turn.
It's my turn. And I'm going to talk about Vendetta dal Futuro. But before I do that, I just wanted to sort of just give it, like I said, I was with my friend Mal over the weekend. And he's got a lovely house in Port Talbot. And it's nice because I get to go and visit him somebody used to work with us retired. Like I said, he's in his mid-60s. He's so knowledgeable about cinema and has such a love and passion for the history of cinema. And when you go to his house, it's just every room has all this memorabilia in, and these beautiful vintage posters and these Blu-rays and DVDs and different versions of films and memorabilia here and there. And every room is full of. And I was constantly asking him questions about cinema, and he was reeling off this sort of encyclopedic knowledge. You go in the bathroom and there's, the CBS book from 1975 that he's halfway through, or he's got this psychotronic guide to movies with all these, what are they called? Little post-it notes with notes on of things he wants to watch and things he wants to rewatch and all these things. So bearing that in mind, this nearly 70 years of love for cinema, we sat down and watched Hands of Steel, Tequila Sunrise, and Laser Mission.
Fucking hell. Tequila Sunrise. That's all right, isn't it?
Well, we'll get to that.
I don't know about the other.
I just love, so there's something about sitting in like a room full of all this history and then we got this font of knowledge and like, right, let's watch Laser Mission from 1989 with Brandon Lee then. So there's something beautiful about the paradox of it. So I'm going to talk about Vendetta dal Futuro, or as it was known in the West, Hands of Steel, a film with Daniel Green, George Eastman and John Saxon.
Nice.
the film starts off, and it's Daniel Green, who I assume is some sort of, not martial artist, but some sort of bodybuilder or whatever. He's a buff bloke. And you see a load of people in a really shitty like New York apartment, and he goes in there, wipes them all out, and it seems to be there's some sort of virus that's wiped out most of the world, and this little pocket of resistance was working on a cure, and the blind doctor was near to a cure, and then Daniel Green rocks up, and you think he kills him. He sort of, it looks like he stabs him, but then when he moves his hand away, you see the camera over his shoulder, and there's like on this doctor's shoulder, it's all bloodied, and he sort of slumps over, and you think, oh, Marky must have shot it. I don't know what happened there. It's a really bizarre bit of filming, and then you see him jump out of the window and escape under a manhole cover, and they say, well, this was the last hope for humanity. We've got to find what's his name, Paco Cueroac. Obviously, I won't say Daniel Green anymore. They've got to find Paco, this killer. So naturally, the police are like trying to find this guy, and it cuts to the doctor in hospital. He's been killed, and they're trying to work out what killed him, like what could have killed him. And they're like, there's some sort of implement that it's hit him at such force that it like basically caused his entire innards to burst. But what is it? And I thought, oh my god, if only you could see the poster for the film and know the title, which is Hands of Steel, and the poster, which is a man who's clearly a fucking robot. Only you knew that. Our questions will be just cleared up for you. So
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
He killed the doctor whose medicine thing is going to save the world.
Yeah.
How does finding his killer help that scenario?
Oh, well, let's move along, shall we? Let's push that to one side as the plot does. And
also, was he a blind doctor?
He is blind. Yeah, he's a blind doctor. Yeah.
How does that work? Like, if he's a scientist, he's going to pour something in, and he doesn't know if it's boiling or if it's like frozen or anything, does he? He's going to have somebody with him the whole time going, well, what happened then? write it down, will you? I can't see.
Write it down, but then read it out to me, because I can't. If you're
don't bother writing it down. Just say it out loud.
Don't worry, I'll just work out what you've written down just by listening to the sound of a pencil. Much like the character of the Mountie did in Due South once, where he hid under someone's table and worked out what the password was by listening to them type it in on a keyboard. Oh yeah, that's real. That's real, baby. That's how that works.
That's why he was the best.
That's amazing. I used to love Due South, by the way.
Yeah, Due South. Can you remember the name of the dog?
Ooh, Mountie?
Diefenbaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I do remember that.
Christ. You're obviously not fans like I am. Jesus Christ.
My mum was a fan of the Mountie guy. I remember that.
She would still be now, because he looks the same. Yeah. She would go on about him at length behind a closed door. I'm just thinking about Brendan Fraser from Due South, Lazlo. I'll be out in a minute. So what you expect then? So you've got this post-apocalyptic future. You've got this robot that we're not supposed to know is a robot, because we have to watch the film assuming we haven't seen the poster or know the title of the film. And then he escapes into the sort of desert, this sort of the LA desert, and not New York either, like the LA sort of desert, right? Crashes his car, and he's looking around, and he sees a like a cabin or something, some sort of house or some sort of business or restaurant in the distance. And obviously, as I'm not even going to let you guess, as you'd assume, the next third of the film is him being hassled by locals and entering arm wrestling competitions.
Well,
I thought I'd just save you. I would just. There's no tension here, so I thought I'd just carry on talking.
It's the only obvious narrative route to take.
Everyone in this film is sweating. They are sweating. It's plastered to them. So he turns up. There's a woman who owns this bar, and apparently is like the waiter, the chef, the front of house, the maitre d', the chambermaid, and does all of the stock take, and has never been just raped or murdered by these roving gangs. It's okay, you were doing a good job, love, fair play. There are pipes. You know those pipes you get that, like when people have like a dryer in their house, and they put like a a concertina like pipe out of a window.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
They are everywhere in this film, to the point that I thought they must be sponsored by some sort of piping company, because the camera will fixate on them. These pipes, and they're everywhere, like in the bar, they're all over the walls. I don't know if it's meant to be something to do with this post-apocalyptic future, but it never mentions it. But he's in his room, which is basically a little, like a roll-up bed on the floor. There's pipes everywhere in there. Like, what are they for?
They use it
It's
for
like Terry
aircon.
Gilliam's Brazil. Yeah. You do use
mobile
them for
aircon units. They're probably real. They're probably on set. If it was sweltering
Well,
hot, they're just like, oh, it looks futuristic. Leave them.
That can be the only explanation. They're everywhere, like all over the room. And I thought, is it supposed to be like some sort of techno vor bug taking over the world? And they just not mentioning it? It's so bizarre. And it's just him, lengthy scenes of him trying to help out around the bar. Someone challenges this man to an arm wrestling competition after watching him rip up a marble, rip like a tabletop, like he almost like a cutting chopping board that's like about half a foot thick, and he's like, "Oh, I can take you," and he snaps it in half with his bare hands and throws it at him, and he still says he'll take him on. And and when the film at about like an hour in reveals, haha, he's actually a robot, I thought, well, I knew that, didn't I? Because I've watched him do like preposterous feats of strength for an hour. And and then it's like when the film says, haha, he's a robot, and we're all allowed to know, they can't stop talking about how he's a robot, as if it's a real magician's reveal. But you watch it dumbfounded, like, well, I know he's a robot. I've watched him do these ridiculous things, and he's kind of moves like a robot. So yeah, it was really, really good fun, and absolutely astonishing and full of pipes.
So not just
I was going to
hands of
ask, like,
steel.
how does it end? But obviously, I need to watch this, and
Clearly.
don't want the ending spoiled. I'm sure it's very complicated and clever.
Turns out he's actually a human.
It's worth a watch. I'm pretty sure I've seen it on Prime. But I mean, I could tell you how it ends, but there's no point really. It's one of those films you can just chuck on the background and just kind of enjoy it, because I guess they're trying to do it by a load of like lore world building, but it's so sort of tertiary to what the absolute functional plot that you never really know what the point is. They keep cutting back to people trying to solve this cure, people trying to work out this guy was murdered, and you think, well, I know all of this, because if you just know he's a robot, then there's no mystery anywhere.
This is on Prime, and this is on my watch list.
Yeah,
I was like, I
on.
recognize that picture.
I'm pretty sure it's on my watch list on Prime. Weirdly, you can, on Apple TV, you can buy it cheaper than you can rent it.
Well,
so there's a bargain for you.
My God, Daniel Green has had a career. He has had a career. He was in Dumb and Dumber 2. There's something about Mary, Kingpin. He was in The Maddening, that film with Burt Reynolds, where there was a bloke in a wheelchair shouting at him in a field that was making me laugh. He's in a lot of comedies in it. I don't have to watch. Yeah, he's a good-looking bloke, and he was fun in this. I'm gonna have to watch more of this. Oh, mind you, I say he's in all these films. It's like his character names are like Cop, Pizza
Cop
Man,
number 2, yeah,
Mr. Officer 1, or Wheelchair Ninja. So he's never been the star, but he should have been.
The movie was called Officer Number 1, so he's the lead.
Oh, with you, Lazlo.
Okay, I will talk about Ben Wheatley's latest film. You excited? This is Normal, which is on Now TV. Came out this year, starring Bob Odenkirk. It was good. The film, not so much. So this is a kind of a humorous action crime thriller from the writer of John Wick. And it has a lot of the John Wick DNA in this, where you have to suspend disbelief about how many willing killers there might be in one given location. Anyway, Bob is good as ever. And it's better than Nobody 2, I will say that. But that's not much of a stretch. And it's not much of a stretch for him in this, because it feels like he's kind of playing version of characters we've seen him play before. But anyway, he's like a washed up interim sheriff in a Minnesotan town called Normal. And he's kind of running from his past. They established that he's cocked some stuff up. He's got a wife that he phones and leaves messages for who never calls him back. And he's kind of drifting from job to job, hoping to get out of this place as soon as possible. But then he witnesses a bank robbery and attempts to intervene. And that then opens a sort of Pandora's box of this town. And he ends up fighting for his life and revealing that the whole town of Normal is not as it appears to be. So it was an interesting setup that had like shades of Fargo and that sort of thing, like where it sort of slowly builds up the quirky characters of this town. There's some funny lines from his like co-workers and things in this crappy little police station. And then it suddenly switches gears around 30 minutes in to become a much broader and more basic kind of action film. And the fights and shootouts are not badly done, although it feels like you've seen this sort of style of action and this sort of tone before. And everyone in the town is so blasé about whether they get killed or if they kill someone that the stakes and the reality sort of drops to zero, basically. So I don't know, yeah. But then it got to a point I was quite relieved at about an hour in. It's kind of a 3-acty sort of thing where it takes another gear shift, which I didn't expect, although it's not a massive radical change. I was at least relieved that they had another idea up their sleeve. It doesn't really make any sense, but at least it gives points for a bit of ingenuity of turning things around slightly in the last act. So yeah, I don't know. It's forgettable, but it's all right. It's competently made by Ben Wheatley as well, but I don't know. It still feels like he is waiting yet to find like a commercial project that plays to his weirder art house sensibilities. So I like a look on IMDb, and he kind of does. He's kind of fallen into that kind of one for them and one for me sort of approach in his career, where he does like a weird little art house thing that people say is too weird. I don't like it. And then he does a deeply bland and generic kind of Hollywoody-ish thing or a TV show episode, and then does another weird little short. So I don't know. He's an interesting character, but I don't feel like he's ever capitalized properly on his early promise from things like Kill List and Sightseers. So yeah, this is more on the trajectory of like, it's okay, but it's really nothing special.
That's disappointing. Because he had a go at...
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say he had a go at like action before, didn't he? When he did Free Fire, which was a little disappointing as well.
Yeah, that I remember that my lingering memory of that was this was a little bit nasty or mean-spirited or something, and the action wasn't that great anyway, so it was kind of...
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed that. Is that the one where they're in like a warehouse and there's a sort of... I think I enjoyed that more than both of you, but I think I was just in the mood for it, so it over sort of ran, what would have usually got on my nerves. But yeah, I haven't seen many of his films, but I have seen Free Fire. I did quite like that, but I wouldn't watch it again.
No. I wrote down completely needless flashback. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I feel like it's probably one of those things where they go back and do an extensive flashback to reveal how something happened, and the whole time you're sat there going, yeah, we got that. We 100% knew that already. You suggested it and we understand. Which has happened in a few films I've watched recently. It's like it's like a studio gave a note or something, said, "Oh, I feel like you need to explain what he means when he says that," and then they waste a load of our time spelling it out. Anyway,
I'll probably skip.
It's
that
no
one.
Meg 2. I'm just kidding. I didn't really like Meg 2.
Yeah.
It's no first 45 minutes of Meg 2 before you start watching. Are we going to have to talk about Master of the Universe now?
Yeah.
Is that going to
I'd
happen?
like you to. I'd like you to. Can I just preempt? Can I just say a couple of things about Master of the Universe, if that's cool?
Sure.
This is a weird one for me, right? Because I remember when I was a kid, Master of the Universe was my favorite toy line, and I vividly remember a lot of the toys.
Mhm.
I remember the cartoon, which has aged awfully. It's unwatchable now. And then they did a series of reboots and video games, which were all dreadful.
You haven't mentioned Dolph Lundgren yet.
Yeah, and then they did the film, the Dolph Lundgren film, which, so you got He-Man, Master of the Universe, this fantastical sort of like roaring 80s muscle-bound show, which is set primarily in a music store in a car park.
Yes.
And then this. And I thought, well, who is this for? I haven't seen any trailers. I have no idea of the sort of what tone the film is, but the 87 film is bad. But I don't know. This would be like if they did like a Visionaries movie now. I don't know. No one's clamoring for it, and it's based on a toy
No,
line.
evidently not, according to the box office.
Oh, really? Is that why it was on Prime as it was in the cinema? I noticed that. Anyway,
much.
I'll let you talk about it.
Okay, so the plot follows Prince Adam, played by Nicholas, I want to say Galitzine. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And he returns to his home planet, Eternia. He's on Earth. He returns to Eternia to become He-Man and save his world from Skeletor, basically. Maybe we should ask Lazlo, did you like this film? Because I think it's important that we understand where we're at on this one.
I did enjoy it. I'm eyes wide open, aware that this is not, like, by definition, like a good film. I feel like it's weirdly what's the word? Self-harming in like that it feels the need to undercut every sort of earnest moment with a jab at itself.
Yes, it
and
is.
its own absurdity. But at least there were enough moments that amused me enough, and I don't really care that much about He-Man anyway. I watched it as a kid. I had a couple of the toys. I was kind of like, I get the jokes. I don't. But my misgivings with it were that it kind of it Barbified He-Man, like where Barbie was like an endless poking fun at itself. But Barbie never had a plot in the first place, whereas at least this has quite a lengthy history of comic books and cartoons and stuff that they could do it kind of straight. I appreciate it. It's hard to do something straight when you've got characters called Fisto and all that sort of thing. But at the same time, that could just be their nickname, like, like a call sign or whatever, if they're in the military. Anyway, yeah. So I can see why they felt it was probably safer to poke fun at it whilst sort of showing their love for it. But that does sort of wear out a little bit at the same time. I wished in a way that they just nailed a really like fun, good adventure film. Like a Star Wars doesn't have to take the piss out of itself the whole time. You can do this stuff and it can be big and lavish and be honest, rather than always tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
That was a long answer. Sorry.
No, that's good, because we may have to sort of like separate the reviews here, because I loathed it with a passion.
Okay.
So
go on.
Because I suppose I see it as a bit of an empty vessel, really, because I don't know how much lore there is in any of this stuff, but I suppose the empty vessel nature of it. I mean, with someone like Barbie, I mean, they could do something with it because it was just a blank slate. With this, they went down the incredibly lazy route, as far as I could see. There's a bit where someone asks what Skeletor's motivation is, and someone just says, "Oh, he's just evil." And I can almost hear the cheers as people applaud this like uncomplicated, back to basics approach to screenwriting. But to me, just lazy. And what's what's also lazy is it, and this affected that Dungeons and Dragons movie as well, which was bad, but not as bad as this, is like taking the Guardians of the Galaxy template and trying to like recreate James Gunn's irreverent banter dialogue, and it never works. It hasn't even worked for James Gunn since that film. So, you know, and it's like my least favorite approach to screenwriting. Like you take a really hackneyed plot and overlay it with endless eye-winking, ironic chatter, all in lieu of actual characterization or written jokes, of course, because they can just sort it out in the edit, can't they, really? And it's like, this tedious irreverence just circles every single event in this film. And it will be like He-Man effectively looking into the camera and saying, this is crazy. Or more commonly, like the event will happen and then these cardboard cutout characters will stand around saying things like, oh, that was weird. And then having a full minute of deadpan back and forth. And it's like, wow. Like, it's like, you know, because with like CGI, you can fix it in post, right? You can fix action in post. In this case, it's like they took unfunny outtakes and spliced them into the movie to kind of fix it in post to remind us, oh, this is actually just a comedy. Don't worry about like the incompetent storytelling or inconsistent characters or gaudy, artless visuals. It's only a comedy, guys. And then that comedy get out of jail free card expires within about 10 minutes of the film starting, mostly because it's not funny in the slightest at any point. And it's been in development for like 20 years as well. It's gone through about 40,000 writers, outright cancelled at least once. No one knew what this thing was. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up with probably the most perfunctory action adventure script and then turned up on set and just told the cast to try and be funny with each other. They failed. And the film is 140 minutes long as well. And it's like, you take out the comedy asides and you could shorten the interminable action scenes and you probably have a 100-minute movie, but then of course you'd just be left with that shell of a script which doesn't know what to do with its main character. Like he's this nerdy, socially awkward, emasculated office worker, but he also has a complete memory of his childhood living on a different planet in a warrior society. And he's like scared and clumsy when he's confronted by an enemy on Earth, but when he goes to Eternia, he's suddenly like cosmic Conan. And, you know, if he were a female character, they'd be calling him Mary Sue, which, well, one more thing is actually the lack of chemistry between He-Man and the woman he's fancied his whole life, despite the fact that his only memory of her is as a child. That whole thing is just completely draining as well, because it's also indicative of the perfunctory nature of the film as a product. Because why would there be any chemistry between them? Because the whole thing looks like a chore for everyone involved, because there's no heart in any of it. And it deservedly failed at the box office, and I'm glad there won't be a sequel. And John Carter is effectively the same plot, by the way, but that's handled with far more skill and sincerity and a sense of adventure. So that's just a better film. So I didn't like it.
Well, I'm surprised that you really hated it, because
really could not stand it.
Especially because you enjoyed John Carter, you know, which it sits in a similar ballpark, but I totally see that is not played for the sort of ironic wink winks that this is.
No, it's kind of
Barbie
goofy, but you can find it. You can have a happy middle ground, you know, between being dead serious, like fucking Game of Thrones or something, and just irreverence to the point where it's like, well, there's just no stakes or anything here, because every single event that happens in the film, it's followed up by just interminable scenes of like people mumbling at each other, just saying, "Oh, that was kind of weird. Oh, he's got a stupid name. So fuck off, please."
I think it is quite a cartoon aspect to the whole thing. Like I kind of, it didn't feel out of place with the original cartoon, which which is full of just bad dialogue, and you know, it's just visual
bad
candy.
dialogue. But it wasn't full of self-referential dialogue, though. Surely it wasn't constantly drawing attention to itself and fourth wall breaking, was it? I mean, surely it was trying to be sincere, wasn't it? Which would have been preferable, because something like, you take Flash Gordon, for example, which obviously, in a very cosmetic way, this bears some resemblance to, because in that, it's ridiculous and it looks preposterous and it's gaudy again, but it's so, everyone's acting like they're in Shakespeare, and that's kind of what makes it funny, But in this, it's like almost embarrassed of itself, and it just seemed pathetic.
Yeah, I totally see that. I think Barbie has played a big factor in this getting off the ground, because
I think Marvel has as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but like you said, it's been sat in development hell forever. I think Barbie making $1 billion, they've suddenly gone, oh, hang on. If we make this, Barbify it up, make it poke fun at itself, and we can rope in the people who like the original thing, but also will embrace a new audience who want to laugh at it and have a bit of fun with it, kind of thing.
And they'll be pleasantly surprised by how much they laugh. Yeah.
So, I mean, I watched this with the missus, and she enjoyed it a lot, and I enjoyed it too, because I was kind of I don't really care that much about He-Man particularly. I remember it, and I got the jokes, and it was a sort of a diverting entertainment for a couple of hours or whatever it is. But
2.5 hours.
I don't really remember it very well, and I don't really feel like I need to watch it again. But if it came on, I probably wouldn't switch it off.
Whoa.
But I enjoyed the Dungeons and Dragons film too. So I don't know, it's got sword fights and jokes, and it's completely untaxing as a kind of a mindless entertainment. I've sort of definitely watched worse. At least it didn't offend me like half the Transformers films did. So I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was all right. But I totally see what you're saying. I'd be curious to hear what kids make of it, because it's a kids franchise, just we were kids when it was popular, and that's why we even know about it. But I don't think any kids went and watched it.
No. Well, yeah, this was quite a tricky one, isn't it? Because the brand is, it's known to middle-aged men, really. But they're probably, even they're not going to be to bring my kids to see it, because they're probably thinking, well, this is for me because this was popular 40 years ago.
But you guys have got kids, so you know better than I do. But do you not go think I enjoyed this when I was a kid, so hopefully my kid will enjoy it and we can enjoy it together with any of these things? Not just this film.
Not really. No, no, I don't know. Maybe it's to do with the marketing of the film, because I'm not sure it really came across that it was a kid's film. I think my son could happily watch it, to be honest. Whether he'd be happy 2.5 hours later, I don't know. I wasn't.
What's again? It's that whole conversation about watching things with you. I'll watch Batman and Spider-Man. Well, actually, it's tough because I don't really like. But looking at this now, the live action Master of the Universe is rated PG-13 for bad language, so I wouldn't watch that with him. So yeah, if I went to the cinema, I'd have to go by myself, and I'm not really a cinema goer anyway, because people, as we've decided, they can't, aren't they?
Basically.
In fairness with the swearing though, it's pathetically mechanical, this stuff. They just have to say shit and it gets it a PG-13 rating, which means it then is more appealing to 15, 16-year-olds who don't want to go to a PG. It's really that cynical, which Marvel do it all the time.
There is the scene where he says to Skeletor, "Oh, just fuck off, you fucking cunt." In an English accent as well.
Jared Leto, but Jared Leto's probably quite busy now, isn't he, after this film? He's like, that film didn't do well. Oh, I've got things to focus on, though, so...
Yeah, he's probably got other things on the fire, so to speak. He, maybe that's why I hate it so much, is because he's the best thing in it. And to admit that...
I was going to say, he was quite funny in this. Yeah. There's a sequence at the end where he gets inside He-Man's head and he starts popping up in his like real world memories. So like when he's at the gym or when he's at the office, and like Skeletor is there like in a sort of a half hood, half sort of pantsuit thing, and he's like pumping iron and just like staring at him like, oh, you enjoy all this shit, you know? And he's like, and then he's in the office wearing a suit and stuff and just taking the piss out of him. And it was funny, but well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, looking at this, if you think about it, so this is aimed at, I mean, I think He-Man was released when I was born, so in 83. So this would be aimed at 40-year-olds taking their teenage kids, because I'm just looking at the PG-13, mild to moderate funny, shit, goddamn, ass, hell, and piss alongside an interrupted fuck. Well, is that between the interrupted fuck? Is that between He-Man and Skeletor, where like he just puts on the condom and then like Teela walks in and goes, "What's happening?" Or rather, Teela walks in and says to them both, "Did you prefer it when I was played by Chelsea Field?" Which Britt did, let me tell you. So I would. This is something you'd have to watch with like an older kid. But I mean, if I have I have fond memories of being like an 8-year-old playing with the toys, but that doesn't mean that 32 years later I want to watch $140 million film based on it. I'm more likely to buy the toys again. Do you know what? When Rupert was talking, then as usual, I took my headset off and just went for a walk.
Did something else, yeah.
But your the comments you made about the humor, especially of that kind of humor, that lazy kind of humor, I was closing my eyes really slowly, thinking I'm not going to watch this. But then when Lazlo sort of his rebuttal made me think, maybe I feel like I should watch it.
This is the beauty of this show.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to watch it. And
you could be the tiebreaker.
I'll be the arbiter.
I know. I feel like I know what you're going to say about it.
No, because
I may be on the losing side.
I know you're a massive fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
I like silly fun. I like watching silly, easy fun. But just the
watch
humor.
Watch it with Faye. Like I think because then there might be a neutrality thing. Like Nick really found it funny, and she also enjoyed watching him. This buff man walking around in like furry underwear for a section of the film.
Weird.
Is he actually
objectification?
Is he buff or is it like a bodysuit?
He is buff.
Oh, okay.
He's not like an outrageous buff, but he's definitely there's like for most of the film they're pretending that he isn't really buff and he's just got these huge fitting shirts,
baggy jumpers on.
And then when he gets like turned into He-Man, his arm muscles grow bigger, and you're like, no, they were already big. You could tell. Yeah. He's been to the gym.
Wow. Okay, this is an interesting one. I think I'm going to watch this, especially because it's basically, isn't it free on Prime already?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yep.
Well,
got to get those subs.
Can we talk about Tequila Sunrise now?
Fuck yeah.
Please.
Nice.
I've seen this film when I was too young to see this film, I think. So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on it.
The reason we watched this film on the weekend was I was talking about Robert. Is it Robert Towns or Robert Town? Robert Town. Yeah, who obviously did Chinatown. That's we got the title from. That's why I called my screenplay Bert's. Robert. So I'll edit that out. But yeah, Robert Town obviously did Chinatown, and then he did The Two Jakes, and I liked both. I preferred Chinatown, but I did also enjoy The Two Jakes. And then Mal was saying, Robert Downey, obviously he wrote and directed Tequila Sunrise, and I said, right, this is one of those films that I remember seeing the VHS cover of when I was a kid because my mum loved it. But I in my head I mix up Tequila Sunrise with Bird on a Wire, and apparently,
I was going to say, isn't Tequila Sunrise a John Badham film?
No.
Huh.
Are you doing what I did?
I always thought that.
Are you doing that? Hang on.
I guess I mixed them up.
Bird on a Wire. You might have done Bird on a Wire.
Bird on a Wire could be John Badham.
That was a Badham film. I remember that.
Oh my God! Yeah, John Badham. You've done the same thing I did.
Wow, shit.
You've mixed
You've
up
amalgamated, yeah.
a 1990 Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn film with a 1988 Mel Gibson, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Kurt Russell. That's incredible that we've both done that, by the way. I love that.
I have seen both, but I thought they were both Badham joints. But
No.
there we go. Robert Town directing. Okay.
So I watched Bird on a Wire a few years ago. I can't remember what I thought about it. But Tequila Sunrise, we chucked it on, and it's sort of it's a sort of verbose film, and it's about Mel Gibson is a supposed ex-con who is trying to get out of the drug trade, and he's got his son, and he's trying to live a sort of straight life. Michelle Pfeiffer is a restaurant owner who plays a bizarrely central role in this film, considering she just basically owns like a restaurant that people have food in. And Kurt Russell is a cop who grew up with Mel Gibson, but is supposedly trying to take him down. So you're not sure who. And of course, everything is on camera, so you're not. And they really mate with each other, so you're not sure who's on the shush, blackmailing who, or who's behind what, and what's going on. Kurt Russell's hair in this film is swept back, and I said to Mel, who is a gay man, I said, I fancy Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell, but in this film, Kurt Russell's hair is so swept back that it changes the shape of his face, and I don't fancy him. And then there's one scene when he turns up at this restaurant with Michelle Pfeiffer, and it's more sort of tousled, and I fancied him, and I said, this is what the person in charge of the makeup should have done, because now I fancy him again. And that was a key point for me. And I was watching this film, and I was watching, they're having meals, and everyone's smoking fags, and everyone's cigarettes for our American listeners, and everyone's, drinking cocktails, and it's all sort of underhand what's going on, and they're meeting up with each other, and the FBI is there, and the Mexican cartel might be involved. And it was all well and good. And then Raul Julia turned up on screen, and I truly fell in love, because Raul Julia in this film does not give a shit, and he literally just completely sweeps it away from everyone else. And it's all the 80s. There's a scene in this film where Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell meet up because they're not sure if they're backstabbing each other, and I said aloud, they're on a beach on children's swings lit up by a sort of golden silhouette of the sun, just talking about drugs. And I thought, well, this is nothing to do with this. Is just because it's the 80s, isn't it? This wouldn't happen in any other decade. But yeah, Raul Julia turns up, and he plays. There's no point, spoiling the film. He turns up, and he's a sort of a Mexican cop who's there to one of Mel Gibson's old cronies, and he's amazing, absolutely amazing. And you realize how a little bit colorless the film was until he just rocks up and just starts singing opera and doing loads of coke and just stealing every scene he's in. And my takeaway from this film, which I enjoyed, was it is kind of a middling drug sort of drama, but I need to watch more Raul Julia films and hope that he is as bombastic as he is in this film. He's brilliant in it, absolutely brilliant.
Street Fighter it is.
Is he the bad guy in
Street Fighter? Yes.
Yeah. It's like another druggy, like 80s thriller. Fuck me, what's it called?
The language is terrible, Lazlo.
Yeah. Fuck it. What's it called? Oh my god, my brain. It's Jeff Goldblum in like a thriller. Something by Night. Oh my god. After Dark. No. Anyway, I think he plays a drug dealery bad guy in another film that I've seen many, many, many years ago. And you just remind me of it, and I feel like I need to watch it again. And there's a shootout at an airport at the end.
That's Max Payne 3 on the PS3. He is incredible in this, and he just completely brightens up the film when he rocks up. And I thought I can see why people love him now. But yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'll be talking about Raul Julia films next time. You mark my words. I just hope he's one of those people that starred in films as opposed to just being a character. Or maybe he's just one of those people who boots the doors open and just makes everything shine. Also, I noticed in this film, and this is one of those kinds of things that I only noticed really as a parent myself. There's a section in this film where Michelle Pfeiffer's like, "Oh, do I fancy Kurt Russell and his ridiculously slick back hair with loads of blue gel he's bought from Superdrug in it, or do I fancy Mel Gibson?" And I thought, "Well, Mel Gibson. Obviously, we all fancy Mel Gibson." But there's a scene where there's a scene where Mel Gibson's son is it goes. He's like in this surfing competition, and he gets thrown by the waves up against the pillar of a pier, and it looks like he's got quite a serious neck injury. And I thought, well, obviously this is going to be the he's going to use him as sort of leverage to say, "Oh, now you've got to fancy me, Michelle, because my son's hurt his neck." Never mentioned again. Not even in the ending of the film, when it's sort of like, whatever the ending does, I don't need to spoil it. It's not even like, oh, there's his son. No, it's just used as just like, tugging on the heartstrings for one really lazy, needless scene that doesn't need to be in the movie. Good.
It's the poster for this. Is it like that scene where they're on the swings and there's the sun behind them?
No, it's ridiculous. It's
or
really
is it
close
just in? Yeah, because like my memory of it is like the sun is like fucking huge, like it's like filling the horizon. But I don't know if that's just a poster that I've got in my head or if that's actually in the film.
There's no need for this to be called Tequila Sunrise, apart from the fact it's a cocktail that at the start of the film a lot of people are drinking. So it could have just been called vodka and Coke, because there's no real reason for it to be called Tequila Sunrise.
Yeah,
if their names were Brian Vodka and James Coke.
Yeah, well, actually, their names are Susan Dandelion and Michael Burdock. So it should have been called Dandelion and
really
Burdock.
Missed a trick there, didn't they?
Yeah, really. Yeah. I've got look an idea for this. I need a title for this this new neo noir thriller. I don't know what to call it, but it stars Bertie Fish and Dave Chips. I can't think of what to call it. It focuses on their partnership.
Bertie and Dave. These things write themselves sometimes.
But I will say, if you're one of the few people in the world who's not seen Tequila Sunrise, watch it, and whether you're liking it or not, when Raul Julia turns up, just pop open a drink and think, "Here we go, now the film's going to lift up."
I've just done a bit of homework. The film that I was thinking of is Into the Night, but it stars Michelle Pfeiffer, but not Raul Julia, so pointless. Never mind.
Literally just another film.
Yeah.
I was looking at Raul Julia's filmography. I'm not sure you're going to get much joy out of like the leading man roles.
So
I think he did a lot of foreign language stuff as well.
Oh, he was really that. Then is that's. Do you know what the vibe I got from that? Knowing that when you said that sinking feeling in my heart was the exact same feeling I got when I whenever I think about, oh my God, Steve James.
Yeah.
That
Never
like,
had the
oh,
chance
come
to,
on. Yeah, why couldn't I just watch loads of your films?
The other next phase of his career.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, let's brighten things up. Oh.
I think I'm mashing up Into the Night with The Rookie. He's the bad guy in that. Jesus Christ.
The Clint Eastwood one.
It's like I'm getting old.
Did you grow up with two TVs with two different films on at once?
I do want to watch The Rookie again, actually, and Into the Night. I should watch both of these if I can find them.
Have I seen The Rookie? Am I thinking of The Presidio?
The Rookie is the one that's sort of like a near spiritual sequel to Dirty Harry, where he's like a curmudgeonly old cop who Charlie Sheen is like the new rookie who he has to partner up with. And
does Charlie Sheen ruin the film like he does in every other film?
The Rookie grossed 21 million in ticket receipts, just under its budget of 30 million. It's not just under, is it? It's like
that's a
2/3 of it.
loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, you were talking about Masters of the Universe earlier on. It said that it grossed whatever it did on a 110 million on a 140 or 170 million production budget. But when they say that, they're not bringing in the marketing, are they?
No.
So another 100 million or something on top of that.
And half those profits go to these cinemas as well.
Yes, so they'd need to make a lot. But I'm sure they'll say, oh, yeah, but, it gets people subscribing to our streaming service. Does it, though?
It's not an obvious leader on the I need to sign up to Prime front.
In those interviews, the journalist should say, "Are you familiar with the term reaching, sir?" Because that's what's happening.
Yeah, She-Ra will be a massive smash, though. Just you wait.
Yeah.
Lazlo, are you going to talk about Bird on a Wire now?
I'm thinking I've got a couple of bad animal murderous creature features to talk about with Primate and Anaconda, but I'm thinking, because time is fleeing away from us, if I should talk about Spider-Man, the new one. It's not called that. It's called Spider-Man Brand New Day.
You absolutely should.
Okay, because often I talk about new films about a month or 2 months after they've come out because it takes me so long to get through the list. So I'm just jumping ahead to something I watched on Sunday. Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. It's a slightly unfortunate name. Who did
Milk?
What's that?
Did he do Milk? Or am I just imagining
Oh, maybe. He may have made respectable films, but he did another Marvel one, which is what I was going to say. The Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
No, he really didn't do Milk. Who am I thinking of?
He did do a courtroom thing. I'm sure he did. Is it with Michael B. Jordan? It wasn't called Milk. It was something else.
I was thinking, no, Dustin Lance Black wrote Milk. That's what I was thinking of. It's a completely different person and in a different role.
With a different name.
With a different name.
All we've done in this episode is different films and movies and people, isn't it?
Yeah. So, this is the kind of expertise you get.
Batman. No.
Oh, you got it confused with Batman Begins.
God. This is, I mean, I'd say that this is, considering it's the fourth in the franchise, what it successfully does is it feels like a new beginning, even though it's, so Tom Holland is back playing Spider-Man and he is very good in this. I think he had a lot more say on the direction with the character and things in this one, I gather. And you can kind of tell he feels more invested and he's not playing a kid now. His character is graduated and he's in the world of adults. It's not quite perfect, but I would say that it's a very good, it's oddly stuck with me, for a massive Hollywood, franchise picture. I took more out of it than I was expecting, which was a very pleasant surprise. So it plays homage to the previous three, whilst feeling like a new beginning. He's got his powers have started to evolve. It's got a lot of Spider-Man 2 in it, I guess, in that front where he's dealing with a physical change in himself, which cleverly kind of recreates the experience of him getting his powers in the first place. Now he's dealing with new expanding powers and he doesn't know what to do with them, and they sort of manifest in a violent way that he then wants to suppress. So it's kind of, but he's simultaneously dealing with the situation that came out of the end of the third film, where for their own safety he was involved in a spell thing that made everyone forget who he is. So the whole world knew who he was, Spider-Man, but now no one does, including his best friends and his girlfriend. So there's numerous scenes where he's sort of hanging around on the periphery of their lives as they've kind of gone to university and they've graduated and now they're in the job market, and he is desperate to reconnect with them, but he swore to himself that he wouldn't, and they don't know who he is anyway. So even when he does interact with them, he's basically starting from scratch. So it's kind of a frustrating experience while simultaneously being an itch that he gets to scratch. And they do a really, really good job of creating a believable friendship group with them. They've been working together a long time, and he's married to Zendaya in real life. So there's a shorthand and easiness in that group that is very believable. And when you end up spending a large chunk of the film just wishing they would just like have a glimmer of memory of who he is, and that like he'll do something which will trigger something, and it really kind of teases that idea and plays with that idea in a sort of genuinely kind of touching way. So yeah, I don't know. There must have been somebody sat near me in the cinema chopping onions, because there were at least 3 occasions in this where my eyes were stinging, and there may have been some moisture. I watched it on my own as well, which I was quite glad, because I hate like getting teary-eyed sat next to anyone else who may be noticing this. Luckily, on your own, you can.
That's because you're a real man, Lazlo. That's how real men deal with their tears. They don't let anyone know.
Yeah, keep it bottled up.
Nothing bad has ever come from that.
Yeah, right. But you know what? This film, it is like it touches on this stuff a lot. So the Punisher is in this as well. You'll be pleased to hear, Britt. And they do a clever job of not watering him down too much. There's literally a bit where he's about to call him a motherfucker, and he sprays him in the face with his web so he can't swear and stuff like that. But he plays a very cool, and apparently they've been friends for years as well. So there's a shorthand, you kind of sense it. But Frank Castle then sort of sees that Spider-Man is going through a similar thing to him, where he's sort of going down a kind of a path of having an angry side of him come out, and he's lonely, and he urges him away from that, knowing that he's gone down that path himself. And in a way, Spider-Man helps pull him out of his sort of self-pitying solo lifestyle as well. So there's a really kind of cool little interplay between those two. Yeah, so all of these things, very positive. It also looks amazing. It's a different cinematographer, different director, different sort of approach to the VFX. I think that it feels weighty much more often. There's still bits, of course, where you can see this as a bouncy person jumping around, but they did a lot of practical stunts. Apparently they got the Jackie Chan's own stunt team in to do a lot of these sort of ninja fights in it. And you can kind of feel that to it. It's got a crunchy reality to a lot of the stuff, even though it is outlandish. It's reined in. It's all set in New York, and all the fight scenes are kind of contained, weirdly. So that's good. I've lost my track. What was I saying? Anyway, so it looks really, really good. And the fights and the action are really good. And there's genuinely dizzying scenes where he's spinning over the city that it's never looked better in that regard. But it's not perfect, and what is annoyingly holds it back. And the villain is cool as well. She's got a cool power, and they really like flesh out her motivation in the latter half of the film. So, and again, surprise, surprise, it kind of mirrors his journey of somebody who's on their own, who's gone down a kind of a negative path, and he kind of gets involved in trying to help that out whilst dealing with them as a major threat, because they can jump into people's heads. So he's got to fight the Hulk when she's controlling the Hulk and that sort of thing. So it's clever. The major problem for it is that it's just a solid 20 odd minutes too long. There are some really clear as day scenes where I was sitting there going, this scene could have been cut. You're going on too long now. We don't need all of this. And it feels like it's a common thing with major Hollywood films these days, that they have to make them knocking on for 2.5 hours long. And this didn't need to be that. And on the note about, we were talking about earlier on about taking your kids to these things, for the first, I don't know, even though it starts off on a slightly glum note in many ways, the first 40 minutes or so of this, I was thinking, I'm going to have to take my nephew to watch this. He is going to fucking love this. And then by the end, I was like, no, this is not a film for 12-year-olds. He would be staring at the walls, climbing out the window, like Spider-Man after, an hour and a half plus of this. There's just too many sections where it slows right down and gets a bit serious and dark, and you just think, you nearly nailed it, but and I get the value of those scenes because as an adult, I didn't mind the drama, but as a fun, breezy entertainment for kids, I think it's a bit much.
Right.
So yeah, which is a bit irksome, but as an adult, I didn't mind that stuff, and I'd happily watch this again. I'll probably feel the same way about those slow patches, but I found it often emotionally satisfying. It's got also, we talk about bloody Tom Cruise's smile at the end of. There's a note at the end of this, which if you've seen the original 3 films, pays off beautifully, where they don't say anything and there's just an action and it ends on that note. And I was like, well done. I genuinely had a lump in my throat from a simple physical gesture. So hats off to that.
See, that's all I need to know, really, isn't it? That's that ending. 2.5 hours till someone does something that makes me nod slightly. Yes. No, I'm going to watch this. I really, out of all the Marvel films I've watched in the last sort of 10 years, the last Spider-Man film I watched was the one that kept me the most. So apart from the that short with, was it Swamp Thing or Werewolf by Night? Yeah, that was the best Marvel film, and this could be the second. So I'm gonna have to watch this with my eyes. The fact that it's 20 minutes too long probably isn't going to bother me because I watch so few comic book movies now. So as long as it's and like you said, I love John Bernthal as long as he stays off TV. I look at You, His and Hers, and Tom Holland just seems like a genuinely amiable guy. So yeah, I'm going to watch this.
Tom Holland, Zendaya, and John Bernthal are both in 2 $1 billion movies now, aren't they? At the same time.
Yeah,
it's quite crazy.
The Odyssey. And Tom Holland, I think, got a bit of stick for the Odyssey. He's really, really good in this role. I think he makes something that's surprisingly complicated look effortless in this film. I think he's just really good in that role.
I might have to watch the Odyssey, and because they're both 2 films I really want to see. What was his? Did you find him problematic in the Odyssey then?
I didn't, but
no, I didn't mind it. I feel like they could have cast someone slightly more fitting for that role, but it was fine. I think it was more in the writing of that part but yeah, I think he's not really maybe considered like an Oscar kind of caliber actor, and he was amongst a whole bunch of Oscar kind of caliber actors in that film.
Am I right in thinking that you mentioned that they've got a shorthand? I'm sure I remember reading that Tom Holland and John Bernthal were in a film called Under the Sea or Under the Sun, something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure
10 years ago.
I think they've been chums since Tom Holland was basically a teenager, and they were on a film together, and Bernthal kind of mentored him, and they've become friends. And so I think he obviously, again, his influence on this film is quite apparent, and I think the Punisher being in it at all is probably down to him, really.
There's quite an amusing episode of Hot Ones on YouTube with Holland and Bernthal on it. It's worth a watch.
Because I do watch Hot Ones semi-regularly. I think the difference between me and Tom Holland, apart from probably like our T-shirt sizes, would be if I was friends with John Bernthal, I at one point I'd have to say, so when is this sort of like this friendship going to turn to just full-blown unprotected sex, John? And then I just stare into his eyes until he arrested me. With that said, Rupert, are you going to squeeze in a final one, or should we move on to the Arkansas? Completely up to you, babe.
I probably can squeeze in a final one, actually, because it's one that I think Lazlo covered maybe a couple of episodes ago.
Okie dokie.
But I need to talk about it because I need to talk about a good film this week. It's I Swear, and it's on Netflix. And I did think, unfortunately, the song I Swear by All For One doesn't feature in the movie. They really missed a trick there, didn't they? I
swear by the moon and the stars in the sky. Isn't that like one of the? That's All For One.
All four, yeah. It's not Boys to Men. You'd think it was.
Wow. No, I thought it was Boys Own.
Okay. I always thought it was Boys to Men, but for some reason my son heard I Swear. Oh, I think it was because it was in Gabby's Dollhouse, and he's been weirdly obsessed with it. So I have to listen to this fucking mid-90s like love ballad, which has a key change, believe it or not. You wouldn't have thought it.
It's apparently a re-recording of a country song.
Jesus. Okay.
By John Michael Montgomery. Whenever anyone's got three names, you know they're serial killers. I look at you, John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
Surely this 90s boy band wrote their own song. They didn't rip it off or get handed it by a producer or anything, surely.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, they did have a lengthy career, all for one. I think they
All
got
for
this hyphenated as well.
wonder. Oh.
Anyway, so, right, I Swear it's a biopic about John Davidson, who's a Tourette's sufferer from a working class background who became an activist. Robert Aramayo is just immense in this film. He totally embodies the character. No idea if he's a good mimic for John Davidson, but he's just a really good performance. I like the way the film reveals, kind of highlights the lack of understanding around Tourette syndrome, and it's just really cleverly done because it's not just like a Wikipedia article with pictures. The exposition is kind of baked into the drama. Like, for example, we discover that Tourette's isn't a recognized medical condition when he goes to court and he's just faced with a wall of ignorance. And yeah, he just has to go through the normal challenges of daily life with this additional disability. But like, he just can't attend the funeral of his friend. He can't get a girlfriend. He can't go to bars or clubs because he will inevitably just spill someone's drink or spasm and smack someone in the face. And I like how it's not sentimental, but it is quite funny. There's, you probably remember this scene, Lazlo, where he gets in a car with another Tourette sufferer and they're both just ranting and swearing and he's just saying ridiculous things like I wanked on a jellyfish and stuff. That was brilliant. And yeah, it's just a very humanist film, and it focuses as much on the people who misconstrue the tics as it does on those who learn to live with it. And I suppose its ultimate message is that people do want to understand disruptive disabilities, but they just need to be educated. And I think this film does go quite a long way to educating us. So, but it's also enjoyable, so it's definitely worth a watch. It's on Netflix.
I may watch that.
I think you should.
I've only had 2 films this week. My God. But that's fine.
Me.
I'll save the others. So what are our films of the week then, gents?
I Swear. By the moon.
And the stars in... Well, I've got to choose between Tequila Sunrise and Hands of Steel.
That's Sophie's choice, isn't it?
So many men have gazed up into the moon thinking those very words. I'm going to choose Tequila Sunrise just for Raul Julia.
Very good. I'm going to say Masters of the Universe. I'm only joking.
Just control me.
I was thinking an over-branded date.
I mean, I did enjoy Marty Supreme very much too, but I think Spider-Man for me was the one that got me in the feels, as they say.
I gotta say, when I grew up, I wasn't a big Spider-Man fan, but it's a franchise that's been mostly in safe hands, apart from Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace. Because if you think about it, even the comics have always been sort of celebrated. The video games are mostly celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
The movies, none of them are like bad, are they? Like, Captain America, Albert Pian job, where the most exciting part of the film is watching an old man kick open a gate or run slowly across an open field. And I was just thinking when you were talking about, say that you were, chopping onions. I don't know what that means. I was crying. I actually cried. I'm not afraid to say that I wept real man's tears of oil when I watched when I was playing the first Spider-Man game on the PS4, and And I was like, oh,
I was
this
not
is...
expecting you to say a computer game.
Yeah, well, I very rarely expect to cry when I'm playing a computer game unless it's Gunfighter on the Commodore 64. And yeah, it kind of took me by surprise. And I kind of like the fact that it's still got that. I guess it's because it's about it's a superhero at the time of like youth and vibrance, isn't it? So when something's thrown in, it's kind of relatable because it's at that crux of when you're at that point when you're becoming, especially in the older films, not so much this one, when he's becoming an adult, and it's all this joy, but it's dealing with all these things, and you can always sort of relate to that, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why it connects with a lot of people.
I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I remember vividly watching Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi one, in the cinema, and the bit after that awesome train sequence, and he kind of like faints after he's just saved a whole train full of people and taken a kicking, and then the passengers carry him through the train and they put him down and they take his mask off. Oh, he hasn't got his mask on, and one of the guys goes, "He's just a kid, no older than my son." And I remember like having the tears in the eyes and just sitting there thinking, "Yeah, he's just a kid." You know, it was so pathetic. But I was like so on board with it. I was like, "Yeah, come on, give him a chance,
give him a break." Yeah, it's nice to have those moments. I think watching, because to get more fun you watch, you get jaded like Rupert with He-Man, and I think it's just sometimes you just got to get swept away by what's on TV in front of you. Like when I watch Black Nuns 2. Did I ever tell you the story about this? Is really quick before we go into the Arkansas. There was a guy, I think I told this really early on in the days of Kino Kingdom, where I went to visit my friend in uni once, and there was a guy that, say his name was Dave, and they said, "Oh, we always know when Dave's going to have a wank because he goes upstairs and there's no lock on his door, so he has to push like a chest of drawers in front of the door so no one catches him." And he was like, "Oh, I'm really hungover. I'm gonna lie down. I'm knackered, guys." And then he went upstairs, and then a few seconds later, you could hear. And I said, "Oh yeah, that is what happens, isn't it?" The Arkansas. It was to get from the much missed Sam Neill to Lupita Nyong'o, and we had a fair few entries for this. But do you guys want to go first to see what you're going to bring to the table?
It's not very challenging, this one.
No, it's quite easy in the end, wasn't it? I wonder if this is going to be the same as a lot of people. As Lupita Nyong'o is in The Last Jedi with Laura Dern, who's in Jurassic Park with Sam Neill.
Yeah, that's the same one I got. I thought I was being slightly original by not doing it the Marvel way, but yeah.
I don't think anyone else had that.
Really?
No.
No, it was like a mocap role. She wasn't.
Yeah,
really
she wasn't really. I don't think she was
set.
in the second one much, was she? She was more in the first one, was she?
Yeah,
I don't remember. But
we had
it's legit.
So it's a two-stepper from both of you, working in tandem. Jimmy Automatic said a respectable three-stepper not involving the Odyssey, although sadly it does involve Marvel. Sam Neill is in Sirens with Hugh Grant, who was in Love Actually with Martin Freeman, who was in Black Panther with Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh, I'll save it till see what other people say. But go on.
Okay. So Max Hilarity says, "Oh, by the way, there's a joke at the end of this, but I'll edit it out." Okay. Sam Neill plays Odin in a play in Thor Ragnarok. In that same comic play is Matt Damon, who's in the Odyssey with Lupita Nyong'o. That's quite meta.
What I was going to say. Yeah,
I remember that as well. And he also said a non-Marvel one because I needed it for my soul. Sammy is in The Hunt for Red October with Alec Baldwin. He's also in The Departed with Matt Damon, and he's in the Odyssey with Lupita. I always feel like I'm mispronouncing Blue Peter when I say that. Not My Cousin John says, "I was trying really hard to not go down the Marvel route, but alas." Sam Neill is in Thor Ragnarok with Mark Ruffalo, who's in Infinity War with Chadwick Boseman, who's in Black Panther with Lupita Nyong'o. I'm sorry, Marvel. Okay? That's what he said. He should apologize for it. It's never been more Marvel. Ed Wellband said Sam Neill was in Angel with Michael Fassbender, who was in 12 Years a Slave with Lupita Nyong'o.
That's a good one.
Regular Dave Chod said, "I can't beat that, Ed. I'm too busy, sat sung it up in Turkey, and my brain is cocktail fried, so I'll just say well done." They just gave up and got clattered instead. So yeah, there's a few two-steppers there, but I think you should both win over the audience because you both did it. Did you do that separately?
Yeah.
Oh, fair play. It's sexy gets
Great
as well.
minds.
What's the rest of the saying?
Great minds think the same things sometimes. I think that's the full phrase, isn't it?
That sounds not dissimilar to that Stephen King, sometimes they come back again, sometimes for more, or whatever it was called.
Clunky, you say?
Yeah. So it's time to sign off another new episode. I've got two things left to do.
We need to choose the Arkansas as well, remember?
Oh yeah, we choose the Arkansas. Can we do Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Because I've only done 2 films, so I'm trying to squeeze in yet. I'm not going to do Daniel Green from Hands of Steel, although I could do John Saxon. But I'll say, Raul Julia.
Ooh.
Mel Gibson to Raul Julia?
No, Raul Julia no.
I think we covered that one.
Raul Julia to Jared Leto. Oh, you liked that one, didn't you? Your little tinker.
No, that's good.
Okay, Raul Julia to Jared Leto.
Okay.
I've got 2 things left to do. One of them is a maxillarity joke, and then I'm just going to end the podcast as we normally do. So, little joke from Maxillarity. He says, built a new TARDIS. It isn't great, but it'll do for the time being. Who laughed then?
It wasn't a laugh.
Just clearing his throat.
That's okay.
A fly through in my mouth.
And I'll say to both my beautiful co-hosts and listeners that obviously we will love you, and we'll be back hopefully in a week or 2. But until then, we're going to end with a very, very lengthy ASMR section of the podcast. Very lengthy. Where I give a little bit of information about the tabletop console, the NTEX Adventure Vision, and read out its entire library of video games. So the NTEX Adventure Vision is a cartridge-based video game console released by NTEX Industries in August or October of 1982. The launch price of the system was $79.95, and they're all contained within a single portable unit in which the LED monitor can only display red pixels. And I'm now going to read out the entire NTEX library of video games. Defender, Super Cobra, Turtles, Space Force, and that's it. And I'll see you all next time.